Welcome to What's Important to You, the podcast where we explore purpose, passion, and the moments that truly matter. I'm James Dean, and each week I sit down with inspiring guests to uncover what drives them, inspires them, and what's important to them. What if the reason you're not feeling fulfilled isn't your capability, but your belief in yourself? In this episode, we explore the power of identity, confidence, and stepping beyond surface level success into something deeper and more aligned. We talk about abundance versus scarcity, the courage to take action, and what asking better questions changes everything. If you've ever felt ambitious, capable, yet still not quite there, this conversation will challenge and inspire you. Today, we find out what's important to Angela Cox. Angela, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello, James. How are you? It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. No, really looking forward to the conversation. And we're going to dive straight in with the first question, which is always, Angela, what's important to you?
It's a very deep question, James, and I'll answer it from my professional perspective because it's important on a personal level and on professional level. And what's important to me, it's help others to believe in their ability to create success, whatever that means for them. It's more of a create success or meaningful life that they really desire. Because oftentimes we live on autopilot, oftentimes we live in the way or in the mode that we know exactly what we want, but somehow we lose that touch, we lose that sense of fulfillment. And when I say I help people to believe is the keyword. That is very important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it is. And I think the words that we use are really important in that regard and do define it. So when you say, when you picked out that word believe, what do you mean by that then?
I believe and I feel and I know that belief is the self-belief in particular is the matrix of our identity. If you know the old-fashioned computer, there is, and I mean, I don't mean an old-fashioned, a desktop, okay?
Yeah.
If you take the box apart, there is a motherboard. Everything clips on it. It's called motherboard for a reason, matrix motherboard. And that's how I see how our self-belief holds everything together. If there is missed attachment, like you clip things on, if there is a missed attachment or if the motherboard is not working, nothing works.
Yeah.
That's it. But if sometimes it's it comes and goes and the little attachment gets wonky and we see how we go through life with ups and downs. So creating that foundation, that self-belief as a foundation is your ticket to fast lane or whatever way you want to put it for yourself, or straight lane.
Yeah.
For your success, for your fulfillment, for your joy. That's how I see it.
That's a lovely description and sort of metaphor. I never thought of it in that way. I can literally, as you were saying, I can see you taking apart the old sort of hard drive or desktop and seeing that, as you say, the motherboard, that one central piece, as you say, where everything clips onto it. And I was just thinking it when you were explaining it, because as you say, if there isn't a sort of central focal point on something, if there isn't that sort of center point, then all the other pieces, if we continue that metaphor, could be of the best quality. But if they're not connected, or there's a slight misconnection, then it's still not going to work in the best way. So you know what I mean? So it all comes back to that central piece. So if I was to then say, so when we talk about belief and self-belief as being that sort of central and that foundation, is that something that you came to first for yourself before you helped other people?
Yes.
Tell me more about that then.
I don't even know where to begin. I first experienced coaching in my life, first time when I was in my 20s. At the time, I just had my son, and it kind of like a snowballed on me. 20s is still kind of a forming stage in life, right?
Mm.
So I felt ready. I felt fantastic about it. I loved the motherhood and all that comes with it. But with it came more questions. So
Mm.
that's how I seeked a coach, and I experienced it first for myself. And the questions I was asked, they were provocative. And to cut long story short, the whole process turned my life upside down. And that's where self-belief came as a building, not only building block, as a foundation. If you don't have that foundation, you could see how you can go so many different routes you can take, and they're not necessarily going to be joyful rides. It may have been a very different story if I haven't changed that there and then.
Mm. Mm. And when was it, when we talk about then that self-belief, was it a phrase you told yourself? Was it something what was it? What was the thing that switched that you say was it you didn't have self-belief and then you moved into it? What was the flip?
At the time, the professional I was working with, there were many questions. There were many different questions, and it's like any session. That's how I see myself now as a coach, because the experience I had was so powerful, and I understand that not every session can lead to huge breakthrough.
No.
It's just how it works, how you establish that connection with the person, and you try your best to guide them and to assist them in their journey. But for me, almost every session at that time was a breakthrough,
Mm.
huge breakthrough. And I was advised to read a book, um, which subsequently changed completely. The book itself didn't change my life. I think the coaching kind of pushed me to it. But the book then kept me at that level. And up to these days, people tell me, people who observe me, just say like supervision session or whatever, they say your eyes lit up when you talk about it. So it still is a very much of a strong anchor for me. So one of the things that the author says, who is Carlos Castaneda, you may have heard about him. I want to read this because it's kind of little riddle.
Mm.
You are like you are because you tell yourself that you are that way. That never dawned on me when I was 20 something. Never. And so many people, and if you ask seasoned professional these days, if you tell that quote now out of blue as a cold part of a
Mm.
conversation, they tell you where to go,
Mm.
because you need to prepare a person to let them understand that everything that happens in their life is the outcome of what they tell themselves about themselves. It's our story.
Mm. Mm.
So rewriting that story, which kind of seemed very powerful to me back then and still is very powerful to me now, that you have the ability and the power to completely rewrite your story. You don't owe anything to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it's also what's so interesting about what you're sharing there in that story or that moment in your life is the fact that one recognizing that in your piece, because you said yourself, like in that time period, your 20s is still at the time you don't know it, that you're still growing and you're still developing so much. In your 20s, like everyone thinks you do, it's only through reflection when you realize how much you didn't know about yourself. But so we won't knock anyone who's in at any age group. But it's, I think, through reflection you realize how much you don't know. So it's really sort of forward thinking at that age to look in that way. But also to when you're going through a massive life change at that moment as well, of sense of having a child. Like as I talk about a shift in sense of everything that you know
It's a
or
responsibility for a
yeah,
little life that you're
yeah,
completely responsible for. And then boom, and who am I?
yes.
What am I going to give this child?
Yeah.
If I don't know who I am,
Yeah.
if I don't know, if I'm unsure about parts of me that made me maybe upset or frustrated or something, or even confused.
Yes. Yes.
Another one of my favorite quotes: if you aim at nothing, you hit nothing.
Yeah.
And if I aim at nothing at that age, how can I, at that stage, for example, at any stage, if we leave that kind of part
Yeah.
behind, at any stage, if you aim at nothing, you're not really, you know,
Yeah. But
getting
is it
any.
yeah. But isn't that such a when you said that there, were you asking yourself at any point in time, but just asking yourself that question, "Who am I?" That's a real door opener, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
if you really do ask that question to yourself in a kind of more of a kind way, not in the sense of a judging way, but a kind of like curious type way, it's like you go, "Ooh," if you're willing to really sit in that and think about it and sort of answer it, that's really powerful.
Well, there is a keyword again. For some reason today, I like keywords, not in a judging way.
Mm,
How many of us know that judging is really bringing you down?
mm,
Many professionals I work with use that whip as a whip,
mm,
as
yeah,
motivation.
mm,
It's such deceiving way of trying to motivate yourself because
yeah,
there's no way. It's not sustainable.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
not sustainable. It takes you on the path of negativity, and that's not something that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So if that's where you going back to that point you said of like your first sort of your own moment of finding coaching from the other side of the seat, being the person who's being coached and coming up with these questions for yourself of, who am I and what do I want to do? All those sorts of um, sort of powerful questions of
Let's go with.
where am I going? Discovery is the great word. Yeah. Where did that initially take you then?
Well, the decision was made then that that's what I'm going to study and that's what I'm going to pursue.
Love it.
But as you know, it's like a big dream, big idea. How many people that's what I want to do? But
Yes.
so my but took me long time.
Yeah.
So I studied coaching here in Ireland, and yeah, on and went then from there. So studied coaching, studied NLP and neuroplasticity, and all them bricks that you kind of keep building on that kind of matrix as well, if I can use the same word.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still process in
Yeah.
progress,
Yeah, yeah.
work
And
in
so,
progress.
yeah, so because you said it at the very start of it, it's also one of it is yourself in that sort of belief phase, and you're building, which you continue to do. And part of you said it was helping other people sort of find that in themselves. So you said it took some time. So when was it that you first sort of really started then focusing on and helping other people?
When I realized that this is what I want to do, but it's all great to think that I've gone through this. It's fantastic. Now I know everything about everything. But as you know, coach's work is never done.
Hmm.
You always work on yourself. And I'm actually glad in the way that it took me so many years to start the work because number one, I often say it to myself and to other people, you are where you're meant to be.
Mm,
You can't be beating yourself with sticks and stones that I've missed so many years. I wasted this time. You wasted this time if you wish to call this way for the reason. And the reason is there was some learning that you were going through in that moment and you've gained loads. So I've gained loads and I learned more about myself. We are like, you can call it an open book or an onion. You just peel the layer after layer after layer. Coach's work is never done because I grow and I can only take my client as far as I took myself.
mhm.
If I learned this much, whatever, this much,
Yeah, yeah.
but I don't apply it,
Yeah.
I preach what the book says.
Mm.
I can read them a lecture, but I will not make a shift. I will not. I probably can encourage breakthrough, but it's questionable. So that's why it's very important for a coach or anyone who works with people on that level of personal development, career growth, life growth, whatever they want to achieve, to do their own inner work.
Hi, James here. If you've been watching and thinking, I would like to make a change, but not sure where to start, that's where I can help. My 12-week coaching program will enable you to reconnect with what matters most and move forward with clarity and confidence. If that sounds like you, head over to jamesdeancoach.com. Now let's get back to the episode.
Yeah. There's so much in there, what you just said. All of it is absolutely, I agree with and totally resonate with it. But I really want to focus on what you said about the perspective of a person, regardless of what they're trying to do and achieve in their life, whether it be professional, personal, relationship wise, hobby wise, whatever it is. And that thing of they haven't got to it yet. And that perception or that belief and then we go back to that word belief of like, I've wasted my time or whatever. It's such a, because we've all had that, I think, thought, and I'm wasting time or I'm doing this. And it's like, and I was saying to this in a person I was speaking to yesterday, actually, I've just, after years of looking at it and being told about it, reading about Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I've just started reading it. And even just into the first habit of be proactive, and when you pair that with time, as you said, it's like, well, you could come from that perspective, or I've wasted time. I could have done this years ago. Or you could take the perspective that you just mentioned there, but look at what you have done in that time period, how you have grown, what you have learned, and all the experience you now bring with that. Because the worst case scenario, I think, if you think it's been a waste, you've wasted your time, you'll then think, well, there's no point trying now. And you still don't do the thing that you really wanted to do because you think, because I haven't done it now, what's the point? So it's almost like that thing of, I don't know, forgiving yourself that or you don't even need to forgive yourself. It's just
Accepting.
exactly what a word. 100%.
Yeah. Accept. And I think the huge part of it that we are wired to feel the negativity first.
Mm,
It's there for the reason. It's there since dinosaurs. It's a fantastic built-in feature. So if the bear runs on the street or the building falls apart with a fire or whatever, you get out, stay out, wait for fire brigade. Fantastic. But the building is not burning. It's
no.
not falling. The bear
Yeah.
is not running on the street. You're
Yeah.
creating that chaos in your head and you're running away with it. And if you dim down the dramatics and think how many times you would feel, shit, I messed up here or something, the monologue that it's the act of one actor and one in audience. You're the
Mm.
only one talking, you're the only one listening.
Yeah. It's a great way of putting
There's
it.
nobody else out there. You could be standing in the middle of the crowded street or something, or a concert. I think the shows, big shows like arenas with big rock stars are very indicative because everybody could be cheering and shouting and roaring, and you could be bawling your eyes out because that song brought something in you that you were carrying for many years, or whatever emotion that may be. Or you may be straight out depressed and you're not feeling the joy, you just playing the part, and
Yeah.
that is the thing. You are the only one who knows what's here
Yeah.
between these two
Yeah.
ears. Nobody else can interfere. And that is so powerful. And that is actually moving me to where did I get that from? That's my next huge influencer in my life. Even his pictures behind me is Bob Proctor.
Yeah.
It's exactly what that became my kind of mantra since I started studying him and attending his courses. Be careful what you think about because you're listening.
Yeah.
And again, if you talk about somebody about negative talk and stuff, people just say, she's not again. We know all
Yes.
that. I know all
Yes.
that. But the minute you say you know all that, you automatically dismiss the subject because you feel you're educated enough on it. But being a coach and me trying to support people and shift their perception in that way, I still catch myself.
Yeah.
I catch myself every day.
Yeah.
I caught myself yesterday and it was like a breakthrough. And I'm saying, well, hello. I'm doing this for, I don't know, over 10 years now because my
Mm.
business exists last 6 years, but I done it over 13, 15 years now.
Yeah.
And I'm still catching myself because
Of
we're
course.
only human.
Yes.
Like we can't, you know, there is no like ideal image of anything. You
Yeah.
can only be better than you were yesterday or 5 minutes
100%.
ago.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, I'm still catching myself. And
Of
that's the
course.
work in progress for people, for anyone who wants to achieve. And I don't mean like those buzzwords like success. Success is different for everybody.
Yeah.
Whatever is your meaning in life, whatever is
Yeah.
meaning that you want to put uh, in your career life, whatever you want to achieve,
Yeah.
you go with it and you make sure that you're clinging on to positive.
Yeah. No, yeah, no. Again, I love the way you phrased it, that in your head, it's a movie of one performer and one audience member. So,
Absolutely.
isn't that because I've heard different ways of describing it. I think there's one that's sort of, I've seen a question. I've seen a few on a few different shows at the moment. That thing of the other way was like, if you were the audience member of the watching your own life as a movie, what would you be screaming at the screen for you being the main person of the
Yeah,
story?
yeah,
What would you
yeah.
be roaring at them to do next? So if you're watching your favorite TV show and why are you doing this? Why you should be, don't go into the cabin or what you do. So it's like, so it just reminded me when you said that, because it's that thing of, this is where so many people that I've spoken to or worked with, and myself included, that we do get stuck or worried because we make so much stuff up in our own heads and we're talking ourselves in and out of it. And we've believed that we've said this to other people when we haven't. We've already made up the other person's perspective,
Responses.
judgment, its
Yeah.
responses, exactly, versus going, you know, you can, and it might not work out, but you can. And so I love the way you describe that, because it's that thing of, it's a human experience. Everyone has this inner monologue. So it's a wonderful way of, really made me project it like as if I'm watching it on a big screen thing. Again, the way you described it. So I think it's a really, really powerful way of seeing it. And I think if people did see it that way and then couple it with that question of what would you be screaming at the person on the screen to do,
Yes, exactly. Yes.
it's
And
a wonderful
the
thing.
next stage, what happens if you develop it slightly, I
Mm,
don't want to go on about this topic, but
mm,
if you slightly open up, what you see is we create all that storm in our head and then we
yeah.
heroically overcome,
Yeah.
and that's what makes people believe that I do everything. Look, I
Yes.
work on myself. I work hard. And that would be actually my one of the key topics you may notice, or maybe people who know me notice I talk a lot about, because they're hard-working people. If I work hard, I definitely will reach results. But are you working hard on the right thing? Are you working
Mm,
hard on something you created or you feel you should work hard on, but that doesn't give you, if you work hard on something and you still feel the gap, you still feel the void, you're still unfulfilled, you still feel sadness or dissatisfaction, or you get frustrated, you're not working on the right thing. Or
Absolutely.
you see, it takes exact same amount of energy to make yourself feel miserable or to make yourself feel happy, successful, proud, you name it, the list is endless.
Yeah.
It's exact same amount of energy. So it's the choice
Yeah.
that we need to move into.
Absolutely. And no, I love the fact that you said that, and because it is that element. If people are in those sort of moments of wanting to change something, wanting to do something differently, or wanting to progress in whatever they're doing in their life, whether it be progress within a profession or change profession or whatever it is. If we stick with sort of professional side of it, and working as hard as you say, just putting in all the effort, doing all the hours, doing all the tasks. But in the end, and this is reflecting on myself now, going back to a previous career where I was doing all those things. I was quote unquote successful in what I was doing in the career, in the industry that I was in before, that I was making my way up the ladder, put it. I was
Yes.
known throughout the company. I had this brand, I had experience, I had all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was really honest, and this is when I was doing my coaching qualifications and things at the same time and various different things I was doing. If I was really honest with myself, though, for all the things that I was doing within that industry and company, I did not care. And that's a hard thing to admit because when you realize that, it's like the if you keep going down the route that you said about just keep working harder, the satisfaction that you get is just from completing the various tasks in front of you without the fulfillment because you don't care. So so all you're doing is getting a sort of a dopamine hit from I got through the next piece of work. But if you really couldn't give a shite about it,
A lot of
th- th-
people's dopamine is to get to Friday.
yeah, 100%.
And
Yeah,
then what happens is it's just autopilot.
yeah.
That's,
And that
I feel that, yeah, that can be
I was just
changed.
going to say, yeah, but that also, that as you say, that getting to the Friday or getting to the task and that hit, that dissipates really quickly. It goes, it doesn't. So you're not, you were talking about we get the ups and downs of life, but it's like, it's so stark, the ups and downs, because it's then, oh, they get to Friday and the thing is like, oh, Sunday night to get into Monday is this big dip again
Yes.
because it's almost like got to go through it
Yes.
again versus this sort of like, you can have ups and downs, but it's this, what if you found something where as much as it may be challenging, and it's not to say there won't be any points where it's hard, but if you knew it was the difference that it's worth it, that's where I think it's the difference is that you actually like, despite the challenges it may face, that you really do care about it. That's where I think the difference is myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So you said there then, so you've been doing in this sort of within this coaching space and working yourself for a good 10, 15 years, but you kind of went in to be your business. Was it for the last 6 or 7 years, you said,
Yeah.
as a business? So tell me about then when, you know, deciding, okay, I'm going to actually do this as my work.
I was very scared. I was scared and did it anyway. And when I started doing it, I was mortified because the biggest part that was scaring me is, out of all things, responsibility. And it's responsibility for income, for making it work. Again, what am I going to present to my children? Like, it's not fear of being judged, it's fear of passing on nothing, of giving no legacy. Or, well, if you notch it down a little bit, like for a small child, legacy is a big word. What am I teaching them?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm starting this business that they don't even understand. Like the youngest didn't understand at the time. But yeah, it's so basically it's the bundle. I was like bundle of nerves and fears And then I had to take myself back again and start peeling the layers. And I say, well, listen, if you want to keep going, that all needs to be flipped, not even
Mm.
toned down. It needs to be flipped. If you assume there is word is 50-50, positive and negative, right? If most of us assume that, but we forget that there is always neutral.
Mm.
So if you assume, if you wish to assume that world is black and white, positive and negative, and many people will argue, well, it is what it is, love. It's positive and negative. There is no other. Beg you and urge you, and no, I don't beg you. I dare you to assume that it's 51 positive and 49 negative, but there is always a neutral in the middle. And when you allow yourself to move into neutral, that's all I'm asking for. It's very hard to jump from negative to positive. It feels fake. It feels unsincere. It feels horrible. Some people say, well, that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. When you ask people to reframe, they say, well, it feels fraud. Like it's ridiculous. Like how can I feel positive if I am shit negative? Like, then I would say, okay, there is no assumption. There is a neutral. The plug has 3 prongs in this country for the
Mm.
reason. So if you move into neutral, then it's much easier for you to sit back and just think, what state do I prefer? And then, okay, if you still can't move into positive and you remain in negative, at least you've done those analysis and you know that it's available to you. And next time you do better. So through this awareness, and I think it's important bit. I attended a lecture in St. Patrick's years ago, and that actually made huge difference for me, because it's exactly that state when we're anxious, when we're depressed, all those kind of difficult states. We're forgetting about the neutral bit, and the neutral bit is the one that allows you, in simple words, in no psychiatric terms, it's just in the life terms. It's the place where you just sit back and observe, okay, what's happening here? Where do I want to be? What do I want to do to feel better or to feel worse? So from
Yeah.
that state you work. So that's how it was for me when I started business. And yeah, it's, as I said, it's work in progress. You master yourself
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. It's again, I love that description of it, because as you say, if we deal with, and I tell you why I love it as well, because a sense of a bit of personal reflection, again, recent, sort of one of my sort of recent revelations is kind of similar in this regard, as opposed to this sort of binary, positive, negative, one or the other. So one of the things that I realized about myself is I have this, I had this tendency to go to binary options. It's either one or the other. It's all in or it's nothing. It's this or it's that. And it was, again, I said it a few times. It was my wife. She was like, "Why can't it be and? Why can't it be both? Why can't it be
This and that.
all? This and that versus this or that. Why can't you do all of it? It just will take more time. Well, why can't?" And it was like this, and I was like, and I couldn't answer. I couldn't say. I was like, I was like, I don't know why it can't, you know what I mean? It was like,
You
again,
aren't
it was one of
sure.
those, yeah, it was one of those questions again. I was like, I don't know why it has to be this or that. And then they made me think again, because, and then and this is where I think this whole world is so interesting, because if you do allow yourself to not be, and this is where the neutral point that I said, because my reaction could be, as you say, to go straight into well, I'm thinking this way, so it can't possibly think the other way. So
Yes.
it was too much of a jump to just literally
Yes.
flip the brain. So as you say, well, actually, if you take a step back and you, like, as you say, put it in neutral or just think about it, go, well, just think about it without, as if you were just objectively asking that question, can I do both? And is there a reason? So it's a really powerful sort of perspective to enable someone to go, look, I'm not asking you to think the opposite. I'm asking you to stand in the middle of those two perspectives and look at both of them.
Exactly.
It's a really, because that I think is a really powerful way, because we know, and you've done it yourself, I've done it myself, and we've worked with people. And I think that Rebecca, I said this a few times, is like on the show and to people, it's like, this isn't easy to do this work for yourself. So it takes a certain amount of courage and bravery to even to start this work. So having a space where you kind of go, it's okay to sit here and think about these things is really powerful. So my next question then is, so you gave yourself that time, and obviously you say that the responsibility was another big thing, and that I think the way I was, like, the example you're almost trying to give to your children in a sense of like what you're doing. How did you, because you've been doing it for a few years now, how did you move through that to get to a point where you're like, actually, you know what, I'm now doing this?
The best way to, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe if you look at it different way. The best way to get rid of anxiety or to find clarity is through action. So you call spade a spade, you got into it, so you got to do the work and you move through it you take it day by day, you take action. And again, every day it could be like different scenarios for different people. Some people may find it easier than others, and easy, maybe it's not the word. It's just a different path for everybody. So for me as a coach in this line of business, which could be completely different to somebody who is selling goods, like, I don't know, shampoos or
Mm,
milkman or breadman, maybe it would be different for them. But for me, it would be, again, stepping back and say, okay, was this effective? Was this serving me? Was it not serving me? Is it working? Is it not working? So through that, you move, and you always, as now I know, maybe when I was very young, I didn't realize that, but you always move to the path where you feel joy. Yes, I know invoicing may not be most exciting thing to do. You just do it. I don't mean it in that way. It has to be done. You do it. It's just one example, right? For
mm,
me, it could be invoicing, for somebody, something else. But are you in the path of joy? If the path that you're taking, whether it's career, whether it's life, hobby, relationship, as I said, you move yourself into neutral and say, okay, am I going to feel joy? If not straight away, does it excite me? Is there something in the end that makes me want to do it? Then yes, that's the right path.
mm,
That's where you can get to the point to feel a winner, to feel fulfilled, to feel whatever it is, success, whatever it is for you. But if you take a path that doesn't give you joy, but you know it's going to give you a paycheck in the end, and that's all you care about, it's just example, paycheck,
mm,
okay? Because many people do that. You could be almost sure that this will be the path of misery.
mm.
So you either have to find learning in it and move through it with desire to learn, with desire to say, okay, this is the stage where I need to get through to get to something. So to answer your question, yeah, always step back and always choose whatever excites you, whatever gives you joy. I actually glanced through LinkedIn the other day and I saw you talking about swimming. And I said, I wonder, is he swimming in the open water or in the swimming
Yeah,
pool? Because I attempted a couple of dips in the sea and stuff, but no, I'm still choosing the swimming pool,
yeah,
which is such a simple thing to do. Think about it, how every time I go on holidays, even if it's the other side of the world, I'm saying, oh my God, okay, it takes a little bit of logistics and planning and stuff, but it could be as simple as click of the button, buy the ticket, and you're gone. If that's what gives you joy, take 2 days city break. It's not going to break your bank. It's not going, but if that's what keeps you going, and even more simple, go for a swim, go for sauna, do whatever. I don't know what people are up to now these
yeah,
days, whatever, hiking,
yeah.
cycling. boxing, I don't know, snooker playing,
Yes.
whatever people do, everybody is different. And that gives you so much. If that gives you joy, it uh, going away or even going for a swim, going for a walk early in the morning, see the sunrise, gives me so much energy that then you come home, you're just kind of your hero.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything goes right that day, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. No, absolutely. I love what you said. And it goes back to the first thing you said there, whatever it is you're trying to work through, after you've gone through those moments of looking at the scenario and thinking about it and finding those things out about yourself, which is so important, and where you were at and whether the positive and negative, that next step is action. Whatever it is, it's then implementing that. Because again, if we go back to that very first analogy of the connection of the motherboard, even if it's all connected, you still have to switch it on. You still
Yeah.
have to then, otherwise it just sits there and does nothing. So there's still this element of like, you still have to put the process in, you still have to do the work. But as you said, though, again, with that new sort of knowledge about yourself or understanding about who you are, there is then the choice can then be scary. Like, knowledge can be powerful, but knowledge can be scary as well. But it's then the willingness to take action on the back of that and do something. And it's like, it's really funny because you mentioned about the swimming there, like, because I say I literally did put it up there because I'm back in the pool because I'm back training I do triathlon is one of the things that I do. So I'm back in that, and I've got a sort of an event coming up in August. So I do long distance triathlon. So I do Ironman distance stuff. So I'm doing it'd be like a half Ironman in August. And it's a few years. It's about, gosh, it'd be about 6, 7 years since I've done the last sort of race or whatever. Or event that I did. So to get back into it. And it's like you say logistics. So they like with swimming, most of it's like it's early mornings when you go do it. So it's this thing, especially in January, it's getting up, it's going, all that sort of stuff. But just over these last few weeks, once you're in it, and once you're and you could tell me, I just love it so much when you're just in and just, because people think, oh, you're just going up and down the pool. It's so, to me, it's a freeing thing. It's an exciting thing. It's a chill. It's all of those things. It's like, so, and you say, and this is where the point that though I'd love to echo what you just said, though, was like, and I put it in the post that I put out. It's like, that's the thing that I found. And it's like, that doesn't mean go join your local swimming pool at all. It doesn't mean that. It means, and the whole point of this show is like, that's what you found, what's important to you, and you've discovered on this. Like, doesn't mean that everyone needs to copy you. It's,
Yes,
it's the whole thing. I've said it before. It's like inspiration, not imitation. It's not about copying the path. It's like, if there's something that you would have always been interested in, but you've kind of been scared to look into it, go look into it. If there's, whether it be in an educational perspective, or reading a book, a film, a travel, as you say, or a hobby, I put in that same post actually. It's like then I'll share it now as well. It's like my brother-in-law and my brother, not together, but they're both mad into like Dungeons and Dragons, the game or whatever it is. It's like,
yeah,
you couldn't pay me enough money to participate in that. You could not. I would go screaming for the hills, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just not for me.
exactly.
And so it's like, if it gives them, as you say, joy, fun, excitement, hanging out with friends,
Yeah,
like-minded people,
yeah,
then who am I to say it's the wrong thing to do? So
absolutely. Yeah.
it's this thing of like, if someone is judging you for what you're doing, it's none of your business anyway. And it's
No.
their issue. It's not yours.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it as well. So the next question I have then, because obviously I'm always interested in people, there's a couple of questions about the business now that you do. So if you say when you were starting, it was about sort of, you know, taking the action and running through it. Now, after a few years in it, what do you think have been your biggest lessons from the start to now?
In business,
Mm.
there is proverb comes to mind, but I can't even articulate it. Not everything that's shiny is valuable. Yeah. So there is so many things, so many hats you need to put on as a solopreneur, and being on social media is one of them, which was my biggest, biggest challenge, one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah.
Um, and not necessarily you need to have huge following to have clients. Not necessarily you need to post every day to run successful business. So all those things are part of learning, I suppose. There are many learnings, but as a coach, as I said to you before, if I was a milkman, if I was selling computers like I did in previous careers, computer parts, that's why motherboard came
Mm,
very handy analogy. It would be different story. It would be different learnings maybe. But for me, you keep going. Motivation doesn't, like, you have, as you said, you have to switch the plug. You have to switch to give the energy to that motherboard
mm,
to work.
mm.
So nobody is responsible for it but yourself. And again, it's only my own learnings because I'm a solopreneur. When people have, now, mind you, solopreneur does mean you work on your own, but it doesn't mean you have to be alone. So that's other learning, is that connections, networking, that's how I met you, through Professional Speaking Association. Connect with like-minded people, share. I do not for 1 minute believe that if I am a coach and there is hundreds of other coaches in this country, if not thousands, we all have to hate each other. We all have to stay away from each other because we're stepping on each other's toes. No, that's a very narrow-minded path that I choose not to take. I hold belief that there is enough for everybody. I may not be coach for you, but I may be coach for that person who shares values that I share. And even if there is hundred of other people work in exact same niche, our personal story is different. And that's what will resonate. And therefore, the little add-ons we add to our work are different.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to resonate with client. And that's absolutely fine. And that's where my belief comes, that there is absolutely more than enough for everybody. And world needs people like us because we make other people believe, we make them feel better, we help them to shift, to change perceptions. Why not? And I think, now it might sound a bit cheesy, but I think everybody should have some confidant, some coach or mentor, or somebody who they speak with in terms of personal and professional development, because it's only working in their best interests. And that's how kind of collective learning and growing happens, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I love that. And I love again, when I was chatting to another person recently, when I asked people about sort of when being in business or setting up yourself as a business, as a solopreneur, the answers I get. And I love the one you just gave there, in that, because I think it gets a lot of people stuck before they even start into any industry they're going into. They look around and they see who else is doing it. And the whole thing of, if you read the marketing books, you read the business books, it's like, research who else is in there and find your, what they will call your competition, and make sure you're got to be, competitive is the word. And as you say, and it's like, it immediately is pushing you against someone, as if you have to win, they have to lose. If you could, there could be that perspective. Whereas the way that you put it there was, well, actually, no, we're all individuals in this industry, but effectively we're a community and effectively colleagues in that regard, even though we're individuals in that. So if you behave in a way that you are that collective, that as you say, there's enough out there for everyone. There's enough people for us. And it's even, I think it's even way, I think you were getting there as well. It's like, as opposed to, as you say, just try and make as much money as you can. And it's not to dismiss that you want to earn and create an income or a livelihood off this. But if it goes back to you're just trying to make as much money as you can, that's your North Star versus the people that you're trying to enable.
Sure.
Do you
Be
know
of
what I mean?
service.
Then be of service. It's going to be much more sustainable then. And because if you go with that sort of perspective of the monetary perspective, then you're going to get caught up in, as you say, the shiny thing isn't always the valuable thing. You're always going to be chasing the next shiny thing that's going to solve it all. I'm sure you get it all the time, and I'll put it out there. I'm on my LinkedIn constantly going, I get the DMs every other week. I'll get you 10 clients a month every month for, you know what I mean? And all this sort of stuff. And you're going, oh, great. And it's like, it's a shiny thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's not, it's going back to the reasons again of why you're doing what you're doing. And as you said, who you're doing it for, the people you're trying to serve. So I think from that one thing that you just said, that sort of understanding of like, there's enough, you know, and believing there is enough for everyone out there is a huge thing to hold on to, because you can easily get caught up in thinking the comparison of other people going, "Oh, they've got it all, like I can't have it."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
It's the part of the mindset, which is
Yeah.
either believe in goodness for all and abundance and positive. Now, positive is a was
Yeah. Buzzword. Yeah.
buzzword that sets many people and just in resistance straight away.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's omit that word and say, okay, if you move towards fulfillment, if you move towards joy in your life, in success, whatever you want out of that
Mm.
success, I don't know what that may be. And on the other hand, there is a scarcity,
Mm.
there is a negativity, there is a limits, like loads of limits. And that's what we humans need to choose every day for ourselves.
Yeah. Absolutely. You've already shared a couple already in this conversation, Angela, but I was wondering, are there any other quotes or phrases that are important to you?
Well, the one of Bob Proctor where says, "Be careful what you're listening because no, be careful what you say to yourself because you're always listening."
Mm.
And that's where analogy for me came. It's the story or show. Sometimes it's a shit show when you're absolutely running amok, frustrated about something or upset about people or jealous or hating or whatever. We're only humans. We're allowed to have emotions, but to stay in that state is not good for anyone. And yeah, that's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
I watched some movie, as I said, and that's where when you hit at nothing, when you aim at nothing, you hit nothing. I think that came
Yeah.
from Japanese warriors
Yeah.
when they learn martial arts and all this,
Yeah.
and think about it, like if you throw ball just for the dog to, okay, dog is a happy creature, he'll go and find it. But if you have no dog, if you're in business by yourself, you need to aim, you know, or not me and you, our clients who need to have tangible results, who need to have paycheck every month. If there is no clarity, there is no, a
Mm.
success, whatever, or achieving anything. Yeah, those probably would be the most. If you can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. If you can see it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. Bob Proctor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love that.
because that goes back again. What do we hold in our head?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we
Yeah.
falling into negativity? Well, that's exactly what we're going to hold in our hands. The
Yeah.
paycheck that is not enough. The I am not enough. If you envy people, if you're jealous, if you feel there is scarcity and you know everybody is against you, that's what you get. You get wars, you get conflicts. So yeah, that is one of the most powerful as well. If you can hold
Mm.
it in your, well, I think he says that if you can see it in your mind, you could hold it in your hands.
Yeah.
But I used to hold same thing. Whatever
Yeah. Yeah.
idea you hang on to, that's
Yeah.
what you're going to get in your reality.
Yeah, love that. And I love actually those different ones there, how I can actually see how they can almost flow from each other. Do you know what I
Yes,
mean? So they
they're
can
all
go from,
connected.
they're all connected. Absolutely, because that sort of um, that sort of some things that can be quite sort of in the mind, and they're thinking type ways of being it, but it's then bringing it out into the open as well. It's then bringing it
Yes.
out into sort of like the whole thing of the what you if you don't aim for anything, you won't hit anything. If you don't, you know what I mean? It's like, and then the same way, if the thoughts are, if you're thinking a negative thought, that's turning into your target.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Without you, would you might not believe you, if you might not have set it, because it's almost a target that you haven't had control over, because you're in this default way of thinking, and thinking it's this the cliche of like, oh, if you or if you like the even if it's something as simple as the weather, like if you it's typical that it's raining type thing, that sort of, if you see it as a negative, you'll experience it as a negative, type things,
Absolutely.
because even though you might not have, you didn't you didn't think that that was a goal, but it's almost like your goal has been set by default, or your
Yes.
target has been set by default, versus
Absolutely.
taking sort of control over those thoughts.
I think it's Wayne Dyer who said it, that the way you look at things change. When you look at things,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
when you change the way you look at things,
yeah. Thanks for
your
things to start to
outcome
change.
changes. Yeah, your
Yeah,
outcome changes. Things really stay as they are.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like it says, the
yeah.
way you look at things make things change. But the thing is neutral. That's what we
Yes.
forget, the Trinity. It's neutral. It's what meaning we put on it. So our meaning is very important, and what we believe is very important. That's why,
Yeah.
as I say, niche myself on LinkedIn as a leadership coach or career confidence coach, which is fantastic and great, and that's exactly what I help people to do. But there's so many different leadership coaches. And
Yes.
if somebody goes straight into strategy and boom, boom, this is what you do, 1, 2, 3, and this is how you do it, that's fantastic if it works for people. But for me, it's important to create a foundation and sort out your beliefs. If you believe your business and your work and your life is going to be green and grind, and you're going to work really hard. One fantastic book I read, and she said, well, if you want to work hard and until you get hard knuckles or sore knuckles, all you get, baby, will be sore knuckles after work hard. It's not necessary that you will get fantastic pay and fulfillment all of a sudden. It doesn't come from feeling miserable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's basically the essence. Yes.
Love it. You've mentioned a few people there. You mentioned obviously Bob Proctor a few times. Anyone else who's been a big influence on you?
Wayne, I suppose, Wayne Dyer. Yeah, Bob Proctor. Gosh, big influence. Well, Carlos's books, yes, I keep meaning to go back because it's a true story, but it's more of anthropology kind of field. It's quite different. Yeah, I think that's it. Yes. Well, there are other people, like the people I simply follow, could be Marissa Peer or people like that. But yeah, well, I suppose Bob Proctor would be big influencer for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you said you did some of his courses, is right? Is that
Yes,
right? You
I
said,
did. Yes,
yeah.
yes, I
Tell
did.
me a little bit about one of those, how that impacted you.
Well, that's the same thing. Once you have an aha moment and then you study and you just begin to develop in that direction. It's like,
Yeah.
as I said, you take your neutral stand and then I say, okay, what makes me feel good or whatever, right? I can't say whether it made me feel good. It just resonated with me straight away. Like,
Mm,
things like, if you can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. But think about it, like light bulb, where did it come from? From somebody having the craziest idea that we
yes.
can have electricity. Like
Yes.
anything around you, somebody started from thinking about it. You and
Yeah.
me, where did we come from? Because mommy or daddy fancied each other. It was a thought. It was a thought. Now there is a human being. I find it fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
find
No,
it absolutely like knocking me out of,
yeah. Yeah.
into space. So yeah, I
Yeah.
do find it very it resonates with me, so therefore
Yeah.
I believe in it.
Yeah, 100%. It's been absolutely wonderful to chat to you, Angela. It really
Thank
has,
you.
and it's been very enlightening for me. And what I've loved about the whole conversation with yourself, and I can so much tell that you're in the coaching spaces, the amount of questions we've had throughout this conversation that we've been
Yeah.
asking ourselves or each other. And I think it's so powerful. Some of the questions that you went through, that you asked yourself, or the people that you ask people, I think it's so, even if you watched or listened to this, it's like the amount of questions that have been mentioned in this conversation that can really help people discover or shift is
Yes.
so
Explore.
powerful. Absolutely. I have my last question for yourself, though, which is, what's important for your future?
Again, if I start from professional field,
Mm,
it's very important for me to reach to as many people as possible to to help them to create their foundation of belief that is taken them so they see the choice to move to positive from that negative state. First and foremost, it's not all black and white, which it is, and it's physics this and physics that, people can argue. But if you go to physics strictly, there is always neutral, and you have to exploit that state in order to move towards what you prefer, towards your preferred goal. So I suppose, yes, it would be my honor and my greatest achievement to gift that to as many people as possible so that they can teach their children, so they can spread that belief. And that's how collective, you know, um, energy, if you don't want to use any buzzwords, I'll move away from it. Our
no, that's good.
collective energy not shifts, it kind of, we create it ourselves. We're prone to sit back and say, well, that's government. Well, another war. I don't know what's going to happen to us tomorrow. It's so easy to do, but shifting ourselves, lifting up above all this and trying to pick positive in a small way, it can make huge difference. So
Yeah,
building
I
a
agree.
foundation of a solid belief for a person that I'm worth it. I'm here for the
Mm,
reason, and I'm going to do absolutely my utmost best to be happy. And I'm not saying like I'm going to do my best and, stop production of oil or something like that, but simple things. If you're happy, you naturally do things that are saving the planet, saving lives, making other people's lives better. You only can
yeah,
do it from happy state,
yeah,
from
love it.
contentment, from happiness, from desire to progress and
Yeah,
to create.
love it. Angela, as I said, it's been absolutely wonderful to chat to you.
Thank you.
And I want to make sure that people know about you, follow you, can learn more about you, connect with you. So we'll make sure links are in the show notes. But if you would like to give a
Thank you.
shout out now of where people can follow and connect with you online.
Oh, it's LinkedIn is the preferred platform, and my website is www.yourability.
And those links will be in the show notes. Angela, once again, thank you so much for chatting to me today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you, James.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to What's Important to You. If you enjoyed this episode, follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if it resonated, share it with someone who might need it too. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment or ask a question, and let's keep the conversation going. I'm James Dean, and I'll be back soon with another real conversation to help you reconnect with what truly matters. Until then, take care and stay curious.